What is up, baseball fans? Welcome to another Wednesday night of action-packed action. Action-packed action. That's a new one. Welcome to another Wednesday night of action here on the Out of the Park Developments Twitch channel. I am Kris Jardine, a.k.a. Snaggle J, and I am very happy to kick off this evening's entertainment with a quick recap. Well, not a quick recap. We're actually going to spend the whole hour talking about the Hall of Fame. That's right, folks. The Baseball Writers Association of America came out with their Hall of Fame voting results today. We're going to talk about it. We're going to break it down. And we're going to take a look at who got in, who did not get in, who is off the ballot. And then we are going to jump in and take a early look at the 2019 ballot. I am going to be joined very shortly by TJ Lauerman, aka That Sports Gamer. He's going to stop by to give us his thoughts. I know he is very, very excited because his boy, the guy whose the guy whose profile is on the screen above me right now is going into the Hall of Fame. Let's jump in real quick and take a look at the overall voting. As you can see, there were 422 ballots were cast. 317 votes were required for election into the Hall of Fame. Chipper Jones gets elected with 97.2% of the vote. I don't think there was any doubt that Chipper was going to get in. I think it was pretty much a foregone conclusion. 97.2%. Some people actually thought that was a bit low, having 12 people leave him off the ballot. Vladimir Guerrero of the Montreal Expos. I'm assuming he's going to go in as a Montreal Expo. Possibly go in as an Angel, but got 92.9% of the vote. He was left off of 30 ballots. Jim Thome gets in as well with 89.8% of the vote. One of the very few members of the 600 home run club. And again, some people had doubted. Some people doubted Thome getting in, actually, just kind of based on the fact that he wasn't really a quote unquote superstar player. But nice to see him get a very good chunk of the vote and get in as well. And last but not least, Trevor Hoffman gets in with 79.9% of the vote. A lot of people thought after falling just short last year, Hoffman was going to get in this year. First closer in baseball history with 500 saves. First closer in baseball history with 600 saves. So Trevor Hoffman punches his ticket to Cooperstown as well. A lot of people upset by Edgar Martinez not meeting the requirement. He felt 20 votes shy of the number he needed to get to 75%. 2019 will be Edgar's last season on the ballot. So it'll be interesting to see if he can pick up the 20 votes he needs. With Jones, Guerrero, Thome, and Hoffman going in, I think Edgar's pretty much a lock to go in next year. It'll be interesting to see. I think, again, with these four guys going in this year, that Edgar's probably going to be a lock next year, but you never know. This is the Hall of Fame voting process. It is very, very unpredictable. Vladdy is a reason a lot of people went to Expos games for a long time. Mike Mussina falls, 49 votes short. A nice jump for Mussina. Or that was, Mussina's first year. Either way, a nice showing for Mike Mussina. So definitely trending towards getting his induction. And again, I think rightfully so. One of the staple pitchers of the mid to late 90s and early 2000s. I definitely think Mussina is more than worthy. And then we start to get into the quote-unquote PED players, with Clemens getting 57.3%, Bonds getting 56.4%, which are very nice increases. Speaking of performance-enhancing drugs, I would like to welcome to the stream community manager for Out of the Park Baseball, none other than TJ Lowerman, a.k.a. That Sports Gamer.
What's going on, Kris? I am powering up on some chicken fingers right now, looking at some dingers later.
I mean, that's pretty solid. That sounds like a pretty good way to celebrate your boy.
I'm very excited. I also have my little beanie, my Braves beanie on. Very happy about Trevor Jones and the announcement of his entry into the Hall of Fame tonight.
I think it was pretty much a lock. I don't think there was any reason to doubt that he might get in. Are you a little surprised that he was left off of 12 ballots? I'm going to take that silence as a no. He wasn't surprised at all. And that's fine.
I don't know why my unmute didn't work. But yeah, there's always a few guys that are like, oh, I don't want to vote him in on the first ballot. And and we're Mets fans, so we're never going to vote him in. So
yeah,
he's kind of, I feel like we've gotten used to that. I think Griffey was off too, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, Griffey was off too.
Ripken wasn't on in everybody's.
Well, I think there has never been a unanimous selection, which I think, given some of the guys that have been elected and that are in the hall, seems kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, it's those guys are just posturing for no apparent reason. So
yes, yeah. So taking a look at the deeper voting, Clemens, Bonds, and Schilling all get above 50%, which I'm sure has some of the older BBWAA members literally like frothing at the mouth that these guys are trending towards getting elected into the Hall of Fame. Again, same thing with Edgar, with Jones, Guerrero, Thome, and Hoffman off the board now, and really not a whole lot of top-level guys jumping on the ballot next year. I think Bonds and Clemens and Schilling are probably only a couple of years away, and they're probably going to get in. And rightfully so. I mean, I'm a firm believer that all three of them should be in. And I think it's nice to see that as the writers start to get a little bit younger, that they're starting to trend in the right direction.
And Matsui only got 4 votes.
Yeah, Matsui, he gone.
I mean, I think we need to start opening up our minds to baseball as a world sport and not just specifically the major leagues. But. So
TJ mentions Hideki Matsui. Matsui, along with Jamie Moyer, Johan Santana, Johnny Damon, Chris Carpenter, Kerry Wood, Levon Hernandez, Carlos Lee, Orlando Hudson, Aubrey Huff, Jason Isringhausen, Brad Lidge, Kevin Millwood, and Carlos Zambrano off the ballot. Andrew Jones narrowly stays on.
He stayed on. I don't know how he did it, but he's there.
A late surge for Andrew Jones. Sammy Sosa narrowly staying on the ballot as well.
I think off of the not Mr. Tibbs tracker, usually like the votes, the percentage will go down when the actual numbers come out. So yeah, I definitely thought Andrew Jones was not going to make the cut, but somehow he made it.
Yeah, and I agree. Oh,
he needs to be seriously evaluated because he was literally the best defensive center fielder for a decade, and he hit 400 home runs.
I mean,
and it's cool that Omar Vizquel was a great defensive shortstop for a very long time.
Yeah,
but I'm perplexed by him getting 37% of the vote and Andrew Jones only getting 7%.
It's stunning. It's just, again, it speaks to the weird nature of this whole process. I do agree with the sentiment that, again, it's the Baseball Hall of Fame, not the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame. I think Matsui should have got a lot more attention than 4 votes. and again, I find that surprising considering he played in New York. Biggest media market.
Got a couple of rings too, I believe, right?
He does have a couple of rings.
I believe he also did, I think earlier this year, or he got elected into the Japanese Baseball Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
This year or very, very recently.
Yeah. And again, that really, really surprised me. 4 votes. The fact that Jamie Moyer got 10 votes and Hideki Matsui got 4 votes, that blows my mind. It really, It really does. So, looking at the voting results, what do you think is the biggest, like, what's the biggest thing that stuck out to you as surprising?
I still think that it's unbelievable that Andrew Jones gets so few votes.
Yeah.
For what he did. I'm surprised. I'm actually surprised that Clemens and Bonds weren't a little higher. I thought they would have cracked like 60%, getting closer.
Yeah.
I do wonder what's going to happen if they don't make it in. I wonder what's going to happen with the errors committee if they're going to end up putting them in, and how that's going to work.
Yeah, that's an interesting. That's a very, very interesting concept on how they might handle that. I mean, at this point, Bonds and Clemens are 6 years in, so they're over halfway through their eligibility. Interesting.
Yeah, I think who else we got on here? I think Mussina is going to end up being that Jack Morris-esque where he lasts his 10 years, doesn't get in, and probably gets in from the committee.
To Adam in the chat, you might want to keep your eye on the Twitter account for the next few days, maybe. Just say.
And if you want to sign up for our newsletter to get that hot, you'll be the first one to know. OOTP 19 News.
That's right. The link is in the chat, slightly above where you posted your question. Might want to sign up for the newsletter. Might not be a bad idea. Just saying. Wink, wink. Nudge, nudge.
Nudge, nudge.
Wink, wink. Nudge, nudge. For me, I think outside of the surprise, I'm surprised Edgar fell short. I really thought Edgar had the steam to get there. But if I had to pick three players whose vote tally would surprise me the most, Andrew Jones would be one. I think that's an absolute travesty that Andrew Jones is mistreated by the voters like that. Billy Wagner is another one.
Yeah, I was going to mention him too.
Billy Wagner hovering in the 11% range. That's just like you compare Billy Wagner and Trevor Hoffman outside of the one category of saves, and then try to explain to me why one guy gets 70% more of the vote than the other guy. They look at the saves. They're just too heavily weighted.
Yeah, and I think what is it? Billy Wagner has. It's like Billy Wagner has the best whip since 1901.
Yeah,
of like players over 1,000 innings or something like that.
It's
something ridiculous.
It is. And my other one is the continual snubbage of Fred McGriff.
Yeah, he did good, but then I feel like he just came short of like all the milestones, you know.
But I mean, is there literally anybody who has 493 home runs that's not in the Hall of Fame who's not Barry Bonds and Manny Ramirez?
I mean, I could look that up. Like Rafi Palmeiro.
Yeah, who's not linked?
Not linked. Okay.
Not linked to PEDs. Fred McGriff was never, and again, I think that goes back to the whole. He wasn't, he was never like super exciting. He was never the best player on his team.
Sammy Sosa, 609. No, linked. Damn.
Well, PEDs, right?
Come on.
I feel like it's tough. I feel like it's tough.
Also, he's got a lot of the people ahead of him that aren't in the Hall of Fame aren't up for it yet.
That's true.
Like Griffey, like A-Rod, Pujols.
Me personally, I feel like Fred McGriff has the metrics to be a Hall of Famer. Now, just for you, TJ, because I knew you were coming on the stream, I went ahead and made a present for you.
Sure.
I went into one of my OOTP save files, and I inducted Chipper Jones into the Hall of Fame so we could show off his OOTP Hall of Fame plaque live here on stream for everybody to see. First look, ladies and gentlemen, at the faceless plaque that OOTP has now generated for Chipper Jones. First look as Hall of Famer Chipper Jones with his 468 home runs. I didn't think he had that many home runs.
Yeah, man. He's some would say top 3 switch hitters of all time.
Some would say
number 1.
I mean Mantle, Chipper,
Mantle and Murray, and Chipper.
I would rank Chipper ahead of Eddie Murray. That's just me.
I'm not gonna argue with you.
I would rank him. But yeah, Chipper Jones, 1,600 runs scored, 1,600 RBIs plus, 2,700 hits, 468 home runs. Honestly, a very, very impressive all-around surefire. You knew he was going in the Hall of Fame right off the bat.
The career 3-4-5 slash line,
which is amazing. And usually, again, is a pretty solid indicator that dude's going in the Hall.
You're lucky if you get that like once in your career.
Yeah.
Like people were going crazy. The Cardinals fans were going crazy when Tommy Pham did it last year.
Yeah, that's something else. Again, I was always a big Chipper Jones fan. I mean, I played third base growing up, so for me that was a big deal. While I wasn't a huge Braves fan, I was always a fan of good players, even if they were on teams I didn't necessarily follow. And I was always a big Chipper Jones fan. Speaking of guys I was a big fan of, it breaks my heart that OOTP generated Vladimir Guerrero's with the Nationals logo. It does say Montreal Expos under his name, but it has the Nationals logo, probably for various reasons. But Vladimir Guerrero, also very happy to see Vladdy get in. Continues to build around the excitement of Vladimir Guerrero Jr., which is another topic for another day.
He's in the top 100 prospects, right?
Top 10. He was number 3. Yeah.
Damn.
So Vladdy, again, 449 home runs, 2,500 hits. Chipped in 180 steals as well. Hit 318 for his career, which was not bad considering he literally swung at anything and everything all the time. And just a very exciting player to watch. I really do hope Vladdy goes in the Hall with an Expos hat.
I feel like he's gotta. Angels are a close second, but I think you do Expos here.
I think it's.
I think Chipper's also going to go into the Braves hat. Not really sure. It's tough decision there, but
I think you're probably safe with that one. If I'm being honest and not trying to just stroke your ego a little bit, I feel like he's absolutely going to go in with that, with the Braves hat. And a guy you've become familiar with through your early 90s Indians franchise.
I just moved him from third base to first base.
Jim Thome. I literally can't believe that there was a segment of the media that felt Thome was not worthy of being in the Hall of Fame for whatever ridiculous reasons they could come up with. But
were they trying to say that he DH'd too much at the end, or what?
I saw people come up with all kinds of ridiculous justifications for trying to keep a guy with 612 home runs out of the Hall of Fame. People trying to say that maybe he was linked to PED somehow, that he DH'd too much, blah, blah, blah. But, I mean, the numbers don't lie. The dude got almost 90% of the votes, 612 career home runs, 451 doubles, 1 RBI short of 1,700. I mean, to me, that's a surefire, absolute Hall of Famer. Again, maybe not the sexiest player on the teams that he played on.
I don't know, that holding his bat out before the pitch came in, that's kind of sexy.
I think, honestly, for people who are, in a similar age bracket to you and I, did you not want to go to the plate and emulate Jim Thome and literally point your bat at the pitcher's melon in some sort of weird form of intimidation and see if he would try to put one in your ear hole?
Whenever we would play wiffle ball at the swim club, we'd switch it up. We'd bat lefty every once in a while if we needed to. We had a little switch hidden in.
Yeah.
And if you weren't doing Griffey, I think you were usually doing Thome's batting stance.
Yeah.
Because you got to start with the bat out.
I always enjoyed trying to emulate Thome at the plate. Although, again, I've hit from the right side, but that's neither here nor there. We got to find our fourth, and I think maybe most controversial, induction. I had Edgar over Trevor Hoffman personally, and that's not necessarily a knock against Trevor Hoffman. I think he's worthy. Again, if you look at the type of players that they've put in recent memory, I think Hoffman is definitely worthy. But you can't argue with the fact the guy had 600 saves. I guess.
Yeah, I mean, at some point we have to realize that DH and relief pitchers are positions.
Yeah,
they exist in the game, so they should probably recognize them. And 600 saves is a lot.
Yep.
Because what are you gonna do? You're gonna say Mariano Rivera's not gonna get in because he's not a closer?
Well, and that's the thing, right? I mean, Hoffman, first guy to 500, first guy to 600. I would probably venture a guess that he's going to go in as a Padre. I would think.
I believe that.
My sources are currently telling me he's going in as a Padre. But
what logo though? Don't they have two? They have two different logos while he played.
Yeah, because didn't they? Well, did they always? Were they always the blue and white, or did they have? They had the brownish color earlier on. The brown, They had the brown with the gold border.
Yeah, what year did he retire? Did he get
20
in there with the gold borders?
2010.
And the wave, he went in 2010. Yeah, so he probably played half of each logo.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, again, people.
I go the brown. I go the brown. What's it? The SD on the hat.
Yeah, one of my low key favorite hat combination colors of all time.
Oh, the 2004 to 2011 had like a little at the end of the letters.
Yeah,
but the other ones were more blocky.
Okay.
I think they go block. I don't know.
Interesting.
I'm trying to think when I think of Trevor Hoffman. I think the gold, more of that mustard gold color.
Yeah, and I think one of the knocks that Hoffman gets is that he wasn't quote unquote dominant enough. That he was primarily a change-up guy. I mean, he still had 1,133 strikeouts in 1,089 innings. So dude is still striking out over a batter per inning, even though he was primarily a change-up guy. So again, I believe he was very worthy. But again, a lot of people, and I think probably the biggest outrage right now is Edgar Martinez falls 20 votes short. Again, things look very, very good for Edgar. While 2019 will be his last time on the ballot, you got 4 guys gone. We're going to look at the 2019 ballot shortly, but there's not really a whole lot of surefire guys who are going to get in. That's all right. There's not a whole lot of surefire guys that are going to be getting in next year. So I think Edgar's going to pick up those 20 votes and then some.
Yeah, I think he's going to get the hard Tim Raines push we got last year.
Yeah.
I could see him getting in next year.
Yeah, and the thing is, again, he needs to pick up 20 votes. You take Vladdy, Thome, Chipper, Hoffman out of there. Most of the guys who were close, guys like Musina and that, again, Musina's only 49 votes away. I think he probably gets in next year, if not in 2020 for sure. But, Edgar, 7-time All-Star, 5-time Silver Slugger, dude hit 312. 300, again, Edgar is not like the sexiest player. He was primarily a DH, but he only had 300 home runs. But the guy walked more than he struck out in his career. How many Major League Baseball players can say they ended up with more walks than Ks in an entire career? Not many.
I'm going to guess not a whole bunch.
Not a whole lot. Dude hit 312, had a 418 on base percentage, 515 slugging percentage, so he meets the 345 requirement. So I think Edgar really is more than deserving. I I think the other part too was I don't know. Did you have a chance to watch the MLB Network broadcast? I know it was kind of in your travel time from work.
I caught the tail end of it when they were just kind of reading off the names that got him.
So it was kind of funny. They spent because the show started at 6 Eastern, and they didn't announce the inductees till about 10 after, and they spent the 10 minutes hyping that it could be a record ballot. That would be the first time since the initial ballot, which wasn't voting. It was just, I think it was the original ballot was just, they picked people from the golden era who were awesome. It would be the first time the 5 people got in, and even when the guy from the BBWAA was at the podium, they kept talking about, oh, you have so many documents there, so many cue cards, blah, 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 blah. And then they stopped after Hoffman. So I think a lot of people, they kind of hyped it like Edgar was going to get in.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it was just one of those things. On the screen now, we have Mike Mussina, who I absolutely loathe. It's just a personal thing. I don't like, not personal thing, but it's a competitive thing. I'm a Jays fan, okay? I hated Mike Mussina because he absolutely owned the Blue Jays for his entire career. If I saw the lineup cards and Mussina was on it for the Orioles or the Yankees, I just didn't watch the game that day because I knew the Jays were getting an L. It was one of those things. But I mean, Mussina was dominant. 270 wins, including, and the other thing people don't realize, he retired at 39 after a 20-win season. Like, dude had
his first 20-win season, I believe.
It was his only 20-win season was his last season. He did win 19 twice in back-to-back seasons in 95 and 96. But I mean, the thing is, dude won 20 games, pitched 200 innings, and then retired. I mean, he had gas left in the tank. So a lot of people think he probably could have stuck it out and got the 300 wins. And then we'd probably be having a different conversation right now. Because he wouldn't be on the ballot, first of all, because he would have pitched longer. But you can't argue with 270 wins, 1.19 WHIP. He had an 81 WAR, which is awesome. For modern day guys.
Jesus.
I'm sure if we knew Orioles fans, but we don't because we don't associate with Orioles fans at all. No, never ever. But I'm sure if we did. They would probably say how awesome Mike Mussina was. And I mean, that would be that. So, any final thoughts on the 2018 ballot before we put get the DeLorean fired up?
No, I'm just, I'm happy we got a good solid group, and there's a lot of discussion for next year.
I'm kind of, I think we kind of knew that it was going to be at least 3 people were going to get in. Hoffman gets in there to make it 4. I do think 2019 is going to be maybe one of the most compelling brackets that we have had in a very, very, very long time. Simply because of the sheer name. So right off the bat, carryovers. In order of the voting percentage they got this year, obviously Edgar, Mussina, Clemens, Bonds, Schilling, Vizquel, my guy Larry Walker, who had a 12% jump this year, big fan of that. McGriff, Manny, Jeff Kent, who I don't think gets anywhere near enough love, Sheffield, Billy Wagner, Scott Rowland, Sammy Sosa, and Andrew Jones. So those are the guys that are being held over. And really, in my personal opinion, the only guy who I feel is a lock coming in is Mariano Rivera. I don't think there's any doubt in anyone's mind that Mariano Rivera is getting in.
And unless they want to fight it, do this whole closing pitcher battle again. But that'd just be a waste of time.
Yeah, you're not going to fight it, I don't think, with Rivera. 652 saves, a 2.21 ERA, a 1 even career WHIP. 1 even. And maybe outside of one bloop single by Luis Gonzalez, maybe one of the most shut down playoff relievers in the history of baseball. Possibly. Again, outside of that one bloop single by Luis Gonzalez, that is, an amazing moment in baseball lore. But I mean, he was absolutely just ridiculous in the postseason. I think Rivera gets in. I think he borders on probably Chipper Jones territory in terms of votes. I think he'll probably get left off of maybe anywhere between 10 and 15. So that probably puts him in like the 97% range. But I personally, I mean, it's obvious. Like, Rivera's a lock, right? I don't think we need to sit here and debate the fact that he's a lock. I think you agree he's probably, guaranteed done deal.
I believe he should be, yeah.
Okay. Then we get into some guys that I would call... the second guy I have on the list, I feel like is probably going to get in. I know you have strong feelings about this particular individual. Former Colorado Rockies first baseman, Todd Helton.
One of the greats.
But I don't know. Again, like, it's... Does Todd Helton, like, does he fall into that, like, Fred McGriff trap where he was just good? Like that's the thing. Like, is he just going to be regarded as he was just good? He's going
to get the he was real good and played in Colorado.
Yeah, like, I mean, dude hit 316. I mean, in his first 10 years in his career, he had an average of like 330 something. But like, he had 372, 358, 347, and then he kind of tailed off in the latter years of his career. But like 316, 369 homers. He had like 150 more walks than strikeouts, which was not surprising considering it's Todd Helton. But like, again, like, that's good, but it's not great. So like, that's why I'm kind of like on the fence.
More seasons, probably more of a lock, but
well, I think the problem was too is that from age 34 through the end of his career, he spent a lot of time on the DL. Mm-hmm. You look at his last 6 seasons,
like back-to-back half seasons or something like that.
Well, you look at his last 6 seasons: 83 games, then 151, and then 118, 124, 69. 124. So dude missed the equivalent of like 3 seasons in his last 6 seasons. So I mean, that hurts. So like, I almost guarantee Helton's not a first couple ballot guy, but it's intriguing because I mean, when it comes down to this stuff, it's all about perception. It's all where the momentum goes. I mean, Helton was a key figure in the creation of and the up and comingness of the Rockies franchise. I mean, he wasn't there right at the beginning, but he was probably their first big marketable star for that franchise. But at the end, I think his body of work is just kind of eh.
Just falls attached for it. I think it'll be interesting to see what happens with Larry Walker, because I think it'll be kind of similar for Helton, so I think he's got to look out for that. But I think they should both be in. But
yeah,
I think, were they saying? No, they were looking at Larry. I was listening to a podcast today, and they're talking about Larry Walker's OPS plus. Mm-hmm. OPS plus. Yes, because I think the plus takes out like park factors and stuff.
Yeah,
and I think it was still higher than Vladimir Guerrero's.
Yeah. I mean, if you use the Bill James Hall of Fame monitor, which I know Baseball Reference is a huge proponent of, Helton has a 175, which would put him ahead of Schilling, Hoffman, better than Thome, better than Edgar, and only 6 points behind Chipper. So I mean, like different metrics really favor Todd Helton. But it's one of those things. It's like, I don't know. I don't know how the electorate is going to view him.
Yeah.
Speaking of people I don't know how the electorate is going to view, Andy Pettitte.
Interesting.
First time on the ballot next year, 256 wins, some very memorable seasons in New York, a couple memorable seasons in Houston as well.
Were they half seasons?
No, he played 2.5 seasons in Houston. Yeah. He got traded there in 2004, and then he played there in 2005 and 2006. So, like, again, Pettitte, later in his career, the injuries, the decline in performance. But, I mean, you compare Andy Pettitte and Mike Mussina, and it's other than the Mussina has a very large advantage in the strikeouts department, they're really kind of similar guys. Pettitte has a few less wins. Again, I don't know. Again, I'm not a huge Andy Pettitte fan, in theory. And I think one thing that really hurts him is the fact that he has literally no awards. To his credit, he was a 3-time All-Star, and that's really about it. Like I don't know. I don't know. You have any Pettitte feelings?
I feel like he was always like the number 2 guy in the rotation. I don't remember. I feel like I can't remember a time when he was like really the ace.
Yeah.
I'm sure there was a couple years in there in like the late 90s before Clemens got there that he was.
Yeah. I think so. Yeah, I don't know. To me, if Pettitte does get in, I think it's probably going to be later on in his balloting life. Maybe 2026 or 7 he starts to pull forward. If he catches maybe a year where the ballot's a little bit thin, he might get in. But ultimately, I don't think Pettitte gets in unless it's a groundswell of support and he gets some ballot luck later on. Another very interesting name, and probably one of the sadder stories that we're going to talk about right now, is the Doc. Roy Halladay will be on the ballot next year. Very interesting. You look aside from the part that he died tragically this past year. Remove that from the equation for a second. And look at the body of work that Roy Halladay put together. The guy called it quits after his age 36 season. He has 200 wins, very good metrics. He has a good ERA, excellent whip. K to walk is very good. He's got 3 20-win seasons. He's one of only 2 pitchers in the history of baseball to throw a no-hitter in a playoff game. I don't know. I don't really know what to think. I mean, again, as a Jays fan, obviously I want Doc to go in the Hall of Fame. But a lot of this is going to come down to media perception and whether people change their view of Roy Halladay because of his untimely death.
Yeah.
Like that's my thing is like, do you think that plays a part in this? Do you think that he's likely to garner more support, because of what happened?
I don't know. That's a real weird one to ask.
It's and again, that's sadly that's the kind of questions we have to ask when it comes to the Hall of Fame voting, because you really don't know what criteria they're going to apply to a given player.
Yeah, and so like the thing I look at more with him, he almost kind of falls into that same like Johan Santana range.
Yeah,
because he was really good for a period of time, but he played for 16 years. The last 2 seasons were real bad.
Yeah,
so, like I feel like he wasn't even hitting like 90 with his fastball. Like
no,
thought his arm was just
he declined in a hurry.
And his first 3 seasons weren't great. So now you're down to 11 years. And like he was stellar with Toronto and those first 2 years in Philly.
Yeah.
So I just wonder if that's going to be something that they come after him and they're going to be like, oh, well, he pitched 16 years, but he really only pitched like 11. So I don't know if they're going to try to pull that on him.
Like as a
3.39 ERA is not 3.39 ERA is very good, especially pitching in the AL East when he did.
mm-hmm.
So I can't hold that against him. Barely cracking 200 wins. Of course, wins maybe not the greatest metric out there.
Yeah.
I say you put him in. I think he deserved it.
Yeah.
He pitched. When he was on the mound, you knew something great was going to happen.
Well,
he led the league. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Led the league 7 times in complete games.
Yeah.
4 times in shutouts. You give this guy the ball, and he's giving you innings.
8-time All-Star, 2-time Cy Young Award winner. Again, the Jays fan in me wants Halladay to go in the Hall of Fame. Like really, really do. Like I knew, again, like how I knew as a Jays fan when Mike Mussina was on the mound that the game was over and we were going to lose. When Roy Halladay was on the mound, you literally, no matter how bad those early 2000s and mid 2000s Jays teams were, when Roy Halladay was on the mound, you felt like you had a chance to win. You felt like your team had a chance to win, especially in like 2002, 2003, when Doc was dealing. You knew when he was out there, he was going 8 innings and the team was going to be in position to win. But realistically, I feel like the only way Doc gets in the Hall of Fame is probably by the Veterans Committee. Like again, like I don't have a crystal ball. You never know what's going to happen. If all of a sudden a bunch of guys go in and he gets on a soft ballot, maybe he pushes through. I definitely think he will someday be in the Hall. Again, you look at Jack Morris, who the Veterans Committee puts in this year. Roy Halladay compares to Jack Morris very favorably, I think. Mm-hmm. In terms of that memorableness, that big game. Again, Halladay didn't throw a 10-inning complete game shutout in Game 7 of the World Series. But
did he not do that in some playoff game though?
Probably.
Didn't he? He threw a complete game in the.
Yeah, he's got the no-hitter in the playoffs.
Right. I thought there was one game. Maybe it was like a regular season game that he went like 10 or 11 innings or something.
Oh yeah, he did that a couple times in the regular season. I know.
Yeah,
he did.
He finished. I just counted the numbers. I think he finished top 5 in the Cy Young Award 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times.
That's
and 2 wins.
That's insane.
2 seconds, a third. I think you got to put him in.
Yeah, I think again for me personally, I feel like he gets in either later on down the ballot, in later years, or the Veterans Committee at the very least. So now we get into, and I specifically had someone mention to me that they wanted to hear what I thought about the candidacy of Miguel Tejada. The first thing that comes to mind when I hear Miguel Tejada is Vince McMahon's entrance theme music, because I don't think Miguel Tejada has any chance of getting into the Hall of Fame. I know he's got 300 home runs.
Yeah.
He had some really big RBI numbers. He has 1,300, hit 285. But, he was an average player who was tainted by some, PED allegations, getting his name named on the reports that everybody got named on. And I think even if you start to see the PED guys trending towards getting in, I still think Miguel Tejada probably doesn't get in. I mean, that's just my feeling. Like, I don't think Miguel Tejada Hall of Famer, like, that doesn't register in my brain. Maybe you have a different opinion, but for me, I don't think Miguel Tejada is a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I think he's going to be one of those guys that was just a victim of that time frame, where he hit 300 home runs for a shortstop, which is great, but in that time frame, everybody was hitting lots of home runs. Yeah. The batting averages were really nice. He ended up with a 285 career average, which is good.
Yep.
2,400 hits. I don't think that's going to help you get there. Yep. 468 doubles. That's good. These are all good numbers, but I don't think he's going to get to the Hall of Fame with those numbers.
Yeah, I just don't think it's going to be. I don't think it's in the cards. Again, he was an exciting player to watch. There is no denying Miguel Tejada when he was on his game was very exciting to watch. You know, he had that game changing power. You know, he had the ability to make a pretty solid defensive play to, you know, get the crowd fired up and get out of an inning. But ultimately, I mean, he's not a Hall of Fame resume, not a Hall of Fame player. So other players who are going to be first year eligible next year, we'll just go through real quick. So we already talked about Rivera, Helton, Miguel Tejada, Pettit, and Roy Halladay. Michael Young is another, I mean, interesting name. Again, I don't think Michael Young gets in.
Yeah, another a good but not great.
Yeah, a good but not great player. I mean, again, if Jeff Kent's not getting a sniff of the Hall of Fame, Michael Young ain't getting a sniff of the Hall of Fame either.
Yeah.
Lance Berkman.
Lance Berkman, when you put up his numbers, when you start looking at his numbers, he's pretty good.
I feel like Lance Berkman's candidacy might be severely underrated. Like again, he doesn't have like world-beating numbers. I mean, he only hit 366 home runs. And again, you know, he was pretty much useless after age 33. You know, he had one good season with St. Louis towards the tail end of his career, but again, injuries just derailed him after age 33, and I think that'll probably ruin. I mean, you look at his body of work before his, like from age 30 and beyond. I mean, he was already up over 200 home runs before his, you know, before he was 31 years old. But then he just completely fell off the map altogether, which I think is ultimately going to be probably his major downfall. Juan Pierre, Roy Oswalt, Vernon Wells, Derek Lowe, Jason Bay, Ramon Hernandez, Placido Polanco, who will probably get more votes. Placido Polanco is my pick for the guy who gets more votes, like shocks people, gets like 10
Ramon
votes.
Hernandez is the catcher?
Ramon Hernandez is the catcher, yeah.
Okay. None of these guys are getting in.
No. Darren Oliver. No. I lost my place. Placido Polanco, Freddie Garcia, Kevin Youkilis.
I feel like Freddie Garcia might get like a vote or two.
Probably.
You could get a vote or two.
Ted,
get those hometown votes.
Ted Lilly, Travis Hafner.
Oh, Travis Hafner, come on.
I think I already said Jason Bay. Ryan Dempster, John Garland, Octavio Dotel.
Ryan Dempster was just making a comeback. Come on.
Well, he's got to pitch. He's got to pitch a game. Otherwise, he's
shelled. I think he got shelled in the World Baseball Classic and then retired. Wasn't he pitching for Canada?
He was, yeah. Yeah. Octavio Dotel, Jake Westbrook, Jose Contreras, and definitely first ballot Hall of Famer, Yorvit Torrealba.
Kind of a dope name.
I mean, kind of a really dope name.
He might get a second look for the name.
You think he gets a look solely because of the name?
I feel like a lot of those guys that you just read off are not going to get one vote.
No.
Next year might be like a real cleaning house of this list.
Well, and I, to be honest, I feel like this year was a pretty interesting cleaning house of the list. Like just, you know, those names where you're just like, I don't really see it.
Do you have who the next year is?
Yep, I sure do.
Just give me the big names. Are there a lot of big names on that one?
Thank you to the wonderful people at Baseball Reference.
Love them.
So let's see. So first year ballot guys in 2020 include, well, okay, guaranteed first ballot Hall of Famer Derek Jeter. Mm-hmm. And then after that, it's pretty much question marks. Giambi of the Jason variety.
Probably not.
Bobby Abreu.
Probably not.
Cliff Lee.
Definitely not first ballots.
Cliff Lee is going to be Hall of Fame eligible in 2020.
That could be interesting.
Yeah, I don't think he's got 143 wins doesn't get it done.
But wins, nobody cares about wins anymore.
Well, a lot of the people voting still do.
And I think the voters are changing a lot now.
Yeah.
A lot of guys are coming off. I think in the
they are turning over. I agree 100% there.
I do wonder how it's going to look when they start. When you start looking at guys against more like their same kind of pitcher, like Cliff Lee against lefties is probably pretty good. Like other lefties, like Berkman, if you're looking at just straight switch hitters, Berkman I think might be like one of the top 10.
Yeah.
So
Alfonso Soriano.
Hard pass.
I already said Bobby Abreu. Konerko, Adam Dunn.
Konerko's gonna get more votes than he probably. He's good, but I think he's gonna get more votes than he actually deserves. But
yeah. For Cal, Jose Valverde, Josh Beckett is on there.
Love me some Josh Beckett.
Raul Ibanez, Heath Bell, Brian Roberts, Eric Chavez, your boy JJ Putz.
JJ Putz is a classic.
Sean Figgins, Lyle Overbay.
I think there's going to be a lot of zeros for that group too.
Nate McLouth.
He played for the Braves for a hot minute. Look, Paul Konerko had 400 home runs, 400 doubles.
Oh yeah, no, Paul Konerko is going to be is an interesting.
But again, the era he played in, that's like nothing, right?
Yeah. So I mean, the thing is, like we were talking about earlier, outside of Derek Jeter, and now I know we're going way ahead, but I took a look at 2021, and the new eligible guys in 2021. There's literally probably not a single one of them who's a surefire first ballot guy.
Really?
Like, I mean, you're talking the highest ranked guy on the Bill James scale is Aramis Ramirez. You got Tim Hudson, Torrey Hunter, Mark Burley, Barry Zito, Rafael Soriano. So I mean, the next few years, and that's why we were saying earlier about these guys, like Clemens and Bonds are getting in. I think at this point it's safe to say that they are probably going to get in. Unless some more damning evidence comes out that actually like 100% proves them guilty in the next couple of years, they're getting in. Schilling's getting in.
What if I told you like Andre Dawson?
I'm a huge fan.
What if I told you Paul Konerko's slash line better than Andre Dawson's?
I believe you.
279, 354, 486. Dawson 279, 323, 482.
I believe you. Konerko was Konerko was, I think, in terms of media attention, I think he was a victim of the times.
Yeah.
The time where he played, I mean, it was extremely unfortunate for him.
Did he won a ring, if I'm not mistaken? Remember 2005 when nobody was paying attention to anything?
Yeah.
I think the White Sox just snuck a ring in there.
They did. They snuck one in there like it was nobody's business.
Love that World Series logo that year too.
Okay, so TJ, put up
6. I was wrong.
Put on your Oracle hat. Mm-hmm. Get your crystal ball out.
Got it.
We're sitting here on this stream exactly 1 year from tonight. Who are we talking about getting elected to the Hall of Fame in 2019?
I've already forgot what the list is. I think we're going to be talking. About how. It's going to be weird. And I'm probably going to be 100% wrong. I think we're going to be talking about how little Rivera gets into the Hall of Fame by. I could see something stupid being like he gets like 80% of the vote or like 84% of the vote. He should be a 90 guy.
Yeah.
But I thought Trevor Hoffman should be a lock, but we saw Lee Smith fall off the ballot.
Yep.
So
you're saying Rivera gets in?
I think Rivera gets in.
Edgar?
Lower than we expect. Who else did we say was on the list? I've already forgot.
Edgar? Do you think Edgar gets in?
I think Edgar's going to sneak in. Like he's going to have like 75.4% or something like that.
Yeah, he's got to pick up 20 votes to get there.
I think he sneaks in, but I just don't know if he has. I don't know if he has a Jonah Carey pushing for him.
Yeah,
like how Jonah Carey pushed for Tim Raines.
What about Musina? Do you think Musina gets there? He's 49 votes shy.
No, I don't think Musina gets there.
All right. So do you have anybody else? Do you think anybody else, a Helton, a Pettit, or you think it's a Rivera Edgar class and that's it?
I think it's Rivera Edgar.
Okay.
It could easily be Rivera. With how these people treat closers, we could have another empty class again. But
wow.
I think Rivera and Edgar get in.
An empty class with Rivera in it, that would be, in my opinion, that would be shocking.
If I don't know. I could see the voters just being like, no, he's a closer.
Yeah.
As they've done with all the other closers. That would be my worry.
So for me, I think Rivera gets in. I think he sails in, to be honest.
So you're saying Chris Sale is in? Okay.
Yes, I'm saying Chris Sale. I think Rivera sails.
Also, I think Chris Sale is in.
I think Chris Sale's probably in too. I mean, he's got a long way to go, but I think Chris Sale probably gets in.
Solid 8-year start.
I feel like Rivera gets in with probably a good 95%. Because literally there's nobody else to vote for. I think Edgar gets in. And I think Musina's going to sneak in because, again, people are going to want somebody. Those guys who are all about voting for 10 guys, they got to vote for somebody. So I think Musina's probably going to get in. And then I think this is probably the last year that Clemens and Bonds don't get in. I think they're going to make a push closer. But I think next year we're looking at Rivera, Edgar, Musina.
Hold on. A gold stat on Baseball Reference means you're the career leader or something, right?
I believe so, yes.
Chris Sale getting in the Hall of Fame. Do you know he is, I believe, the career leader in strikeouts to walk ratio?
He is the career leader in strikeouts to walk ratio. That is factual.
Dude's in. Dude is in.
TJ, what are you going to be streaming in 2 minutes?
I'm going to be taking over we're starting the offseason of our 1991 Indians franchise.
Wow. Amazing.
We just traded for Kurt Schilling. Schilling in, out, who knows? Maybe we get him into the Hall of Fame.
Brian Giles is on the market, I hear, as well.
Might be on the market. We'll see. We can get Edgar. Oh. There's some plays out there that we can do.
Well, there you have it, folks. So TJ is going to be streaming his Cleveland Indians franchise here in just a few hot minutes on the OOTP Developments channel. And remember, at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, Adam and Jeff, the franchise hockey guys, will be here with some more of their Florida Panthers franchise. I hear it's been hot fire, but you'll have to come by and find out for yourself. But yeah, guys, thank you guys for stopping by for our reaction and analysis to the 2018 Hall of Fame voting. Again, major congratulations to Chipper Jones, Vladimir Guerrero, Jim Thome, and Trevor Hoffman for being elected into the Baseball Hall of Fame. They will be heading into Cooperstown later on this year. I appreciate all you guys for stopping by. If you haven't already, make sure you guys follow the channel here on OTP Developments. We are inching ever closer to that 1,000 follower threshold. We would love to get there and celebrate with each and every one of you. But as always, I am Chris Jardine, a.k.a. Snaggle J, Associate Community Manager for Out of the Park Baseball. Make sure you guys stick around and hang out with TJ and help him guide the Cleveland Indians through the 1991 offseason. And until next time, keep swinging for the fences.